More on the schools in a moment, but the First Minister says she can't rule out an extension to Aberdeen's 7-day lockdown. Overnight, a further 29 cases have been announced across Scotland, with 18 of those in the NHS Grampian area. Well, Louise Hosey is in Aberdeen for us tonight. And Louise, another spike in numbers.
Yes, John, this really is a city that's watching and waiting. It's watching the number of coronavirus cases continue to rise, and it's waiting, of course, for Wednesday when the Scottish Government will announce whether or not to lift those lockdown restrictions that really has forced so much of the hospitality industry here to close. Now, that shutdown strategy has been designed to help bring this outbreak under control, and that may well be happening due to extensive contact tracing. However, tonight, a warning from the First Minister that cases continue to rise and that there is no time now for complacency. They're taking precautions against a virus they can't see. What they can see is the impact of the lockdown measures in Aberdeen, which have closed businesses and restricted people's movement. There are now 157 cases linked to the coronavirus cluster, with 852 close contacts identified.
Our team are working very hard to bring this under control. Our numbers have gone up to 157, but that's also because we're testing a lot of cases.
On Wednesday, the Scottish Government will decide whether to continue the restrictions.
I'm up for the extension of the lockdown to get us to a place where we can then start to live again.
If it needs to be done, it needs to be done. I'm with her all the way.
If you think of it in the grand scheme of things, it's best to keep everyone safe.
One expert says there's only a slim chance of lockdown being lifted.
I've got about a 10% chance of going back on Wednesday, I think, something like that. Another week might well sort it out. May not be able to find out exactly how it started, but I would have thought a week to do that and be certain that you've got all the sort of facts. You have to be very lucky to do that. So it might be okay, but on the other hand, I think it's a bit improbable that Wednesday will just be free to go back to where we were before.
The Aberdeen cluster broke out in the city centre bar on July the 26th. A rapid rise of cases was then linked to more than 30 premises, including a bar visited by 8 Aberdeen Football Club players, 2 of whom tested positive for the virus. Over the weekend, they issued an apology.
We made a mistake, but we hold our hands up. We're obviously remorseful. There's a lot of different kinds of implications that have come along with our error of judgment, if you want to call it that.
Concern remains about the effect of lockdown on businesses in the city, with leaders calling for collective responsibility.
The places they like to go, the venues, these businesses might not be able to reopen if the situation continues for too long.
Today, the First Minister said now was not the time for people across the country to let their guard down.
Right now, and I'm aware it kind of sounds a bit, cliched sometimes, but it is really true. Everything we do right now impacts on everybody else potentially. So we have to, all of us, just stop and think about that individual responsibility we have.
Already there have been more new cases this month in the NHS Grampian area than in the whole of June and July. On the streets of Aberdeen, there's a quiet acceptance that for now, lockdown is likely to stay in place. Louise Hosey, STV News.